5 more bids to the NCAA tournament were clinched tonight, bringing us to 11 of the 32 teams automatically in the field. We have another big day on Wednesday with 3 more bids up for grabs. 4 of the major tournaments have games all day, with the SEC and the Big Ten also starting their play-in rounds tomorrow night. Ian Hacek, the Big East expert, joins the show. So big show today. So if you love college basketball like me and are enjoying these layup lines, daily college basketball videos here on the Bandwagon Sports YouTube and Spotify pages, make sure to subscribe, like the video on Spotify. Make sure to follow and rate the show 5 stars. Let's get into it. So, like I mentioned, we had 5 more bids clinched today. Oakland, Wagner, Charleston, St. Mary's, and South Dakota. So I want to congratulate all those teams for making it in. But we're also going to look at Joe Lunardi. He has some teams that are very much not so sure they'll be in. So let's look at his new bracketology came out today. So for his last 4 buys here, he has Michigan State, Seton Hall, TCU, and Mississippi State. Seton Hall and TCU both play today. I'll be talking about those games. His last 4 in, Colorado, Virginia, St. John's, and Indiana State, who I was talking about a lot on Sunday's show. If I'm being honest, this is not a good look for Indiana State. They're the last team in currently. Their season's done. All these teams behind them still are playing all this week. Then moving on, his first 4 out, he has Texas A&M, New Mexico, Wake Forest, and Villanova. The bottom 3, those teams all play today. They have games they must absolutely win against far inferior opponents. I will be touching on the Wake Forest and Villanova game. And then Pittsburgh, Iowa, Providence, and Memphis find themselves the next 4 out. The American tournament starts tomorrow. Providence plays today against Georgetown. Another game to talk about with Ian where Providence has to win. Iowa plays tomorrow, and so does Pitt as well, playing on Thursday. Pitt actually found themselves a way to get a double bye into the tournament. So this is make or break season for these teams. I mean, they have games they need to win. If they don't win these games, they're done. Their season's over. It's very simple as that. If they go on a run here, though, they're automatically in the tournament. So we'll have to see who can go on a run. So I'm going to get into these major conference games now that have bracket implications. So the first one, we're going to start with the Big 12. All 4 Big 12 games do matter just because a lot of these teams are in the tournament or are on the bubble. The first one at 12:30 Eastern on ESPN2. BYU is a 5.5-point favorite against UCF, and I'm going to take the Cougars to win that game. They won both meetings this season. They're a good team. UCF then also had to play today, so BYU's rested. The Knights are not. And BYU is a team that I think could make some noise. You know, they could be a second weekend team. I think they're a good, solid squad. So I'm going to go with BYU to cover that 5.5 against UCF. Then at 3 Eastern, the next game of the morning session there in the Big 12 on ESPN+, TCU is a 2.5-point favorite against Oklahoma. TCU won 80-71 in the only meeting between these 2 teams. Oklahoma also, they've kind of been in the news recently. Porter Moser, their coach, could supposedly be heading back to the Chicago area and take the DePaul job. He denies it, but we'll have to see. You can't always trust when the coaches come out. So, that could kind of be a cloud over the program. Joe Lunardi had that the winner of this game is in the tournament already automatically. Like they'll be in for sure. TCU, like I said, they need this win. They're in the last 4 buys. Oklahoma's a little bit more safely in the field. So I'm going to go with the Horned Frogs. Then for the night session at 7 Eastern, also on ESPN+, Texas is a 4.5-point favorite against Kansas State. Texas won the meeting between these 2 teams 62-56. And really this too is more just Kansas State only won 1 road game in conference all year, and that was against West Virginia, who is terrible. I mean, they gave Cincinnati a game, but they're not a good team. Texas, they have some solid guys like Dylan DeSue. So I and like Rodney Terry, he led the team pretty far last year. They're a team that's kind of built for March. While I like Kansas State, the down year for them this year. They were going to need this win to have a chance to sniff being in the tournament, but I don't think it's realistic. So I'm going to take the Longhorns minus 4.5. Then the final game of the night at 8:30 Eastern on ESPN2, Cincinnati is actually a 2.5-point favorite against Kansas. It is note Hunter Dickinson and Kevin McCullough are out for the whole tournament for Kansas, but Cincinnati, like I said, they struggled today with West Virginia. While I do love Jizzle James, yes, That's a guy's name. Edgerrin James' son, Jizzle James, plays for Cincinnati. Heck of a player, but I just can't see Kansas losing to Cincinnati. They did win the meeting 74-69 when they met earlier in the season. And really the leading scorer and the best player in that game for Kansas was John Furphy. So he'll be playing, and he'll have an even bigger role now with those two out, like I mentioned. So while, like I said, I've been saying all these videos, down year for Kansas, I just have a hard time seeing that they don't even win one game in the Big 12 tournament, even without two of their better players. So I'm going to go with Kansas. Then moving on to the Pac-12. This will be the final Pac-12 tournament, sadly. So make sure to tune in this one. Both these games that I'm featuring are on the Pac-12 network, which hard to get, and is also part of the reason why the Pac-12 is folding. First at 3 Eastern, USC is a 3.5-point favorite against Washington. And even though Washington is the higher seed, I'm gonna go with the favorite here. I'm gonna go with USC. The Trojans won 3 straight games, including an 82-75 win over Washington a couple weeks ago. And Isaiah Collier, he's really been a shining star for the Trojans. I mean, everyone expects, it's going to be Bronny James, but it's really been Isaiah Collier. He had 31 points in that game against Washington. Boogie Ellis is still there for the Trojans as well, really solid guard. The Trojans are playing their best ball here at the right time. So, I mean, the Pac-12, it's not as loaded as in years past, and USC did just beat Arizona, who is the favorite to win this tournament. So, I might sprinkle on USC to win the tournament. It may not be a bad bet, but I think for sure they win tomorrow. And then the nightcap in the Pac-12 is the other game I'm going to feature, because the only other team that really has a chance to make the tournament of the teams playing tomorrow in the Pac-12 is Utah, and they're 5.5-point favorites against Arizona State. But I'm actually going to go with the Sun Devils in this one. Arizona State won both meetings between these two teams already this year, so they have what it takes to beat the Utes. Utah has also lost 6 of their last 9 games. Really not playing great. Those 2 wins coming against Cal and Stanford, who are 2 teams that are playing tomorrow and have no shot of making the dance. So I'm going to actually take the underdog Arizona State in that one. Then moving on to the ACC at 2:30 Eastern on ESPN. Wake Forest is an 8.5-point favorite against Notre Dame, and I'm going to go with the Demon Deacons. Notre Dame actually did win the meeting between these two teams 70-65 a couple weeks ago, but that was the game right after the Duke win for Wake Forest. What happened there? Crazy game, court summary, all that aside. That's kind of a tough spot for Wake. Once you have a big win like that, to kind of bounce back next game. I think they figured out. Wake Forest also did win their last game of the season against Clemson on Saturday. So while they did have a bit of a slide after Duke, maybe they're starting to turn things around. I think they are. And like I said, if they're going to make the tournament, they need to win the game. They need to get that game on Thursday against Pitt, because those are 2 teams on the bubble battling. I really want to see that game, and I think it's going to happen. I'm going to take Wake minus 8.5. Then the other bubble game that's big for the ACC on Wednesday at 7 Eastern on ESPN2. Syracuse is a 1.5-point favorite against North Carolina State. Syracuse won both of these meetings so far this year, and has won 4 of their last 5 games, while North Carolina State, on the other hand, has lost 5 of their last 6. So 2 teams trending in opposite directions. Again, in March, you need to win. When you're on the bubble, you need to win. So I like Syracuse to take care of business, especially small spread like that, only minus 1.5. I'm going to go with the orange. Then, like I mentioned, the Big Ten and the SEC have their play-in games. I'm just going to go through them quick. I like Maryland, Penn State, Georgia, and Arkansas to win those play-in games. There's some really bad basketball teams playing those games. Mizzou hasn't won a game in conference all year up against Georgia. Vandy's not good. Michigan's horrible. I wouldn't be surprised Juwan Howard's out of a job. And then Maryland plays Rutgers, who they've beaten both times already this year. So like I said, I'm going Maryland, Penn State in the Big Ten, and then Georgia and Arkansas to win the games in the SEC. And then the final major tournament that starts here on Wednesday, the Big East. So let's kick it to our preview of the whole Big East tournament with our Big East expert, Ian Hacek. And we are once again joined by our Big East expert, Ian Hacek. We're going to be going through here round by round, picking the Big East tournament. So hope you guys are excited for that. Ian, great to have you back on, my man. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me. Yep, it's Big East tournament week. So I'm excited to watch all the games at the Garden this week.
Yes, sir. Always a good time. Probably my personal favorite conference tournament of them all. And it's kicking off here on Wednesday. We got the play-in games. So we'll start here with these play-in games. First at 3, we have Xavier, who's a 1.5-point favorite against Butler. Then at 5:30, Providence is a 10.5-point favorite against Georgetown. And then at 8, Villanova is a 23.5 point favorite against DePaul. Any best bets you like there? What are you looking at?
Give me DePaul. No, just kidding. Don't book that one, Derek. That's not an official Ian pick. I do like Xavier point and a half. Played pretty well against Marquette on Saturday. Lost by 6 at home. Um, just think that they match up pretty well against Butler. They're a little more athletic, and I just trust Sean Miller in this first round at least. They got the early slot, so we'll see how the energy is. But if I had to pick one for the early round, give me Xavier.
Gotcha. I'm gonna go against you. I actually like Butler. They did just win when these two teams played kind of recently. And I mean Thad Matta. Thad Matta is also a great coach in March, so I'm gonna go with the Bulldogs in that one.
All right, hey, love to have a little head-to-head bet.
Gotcha. Yes, sir. And then you don't have to pick spread wise, but then I'm assuming you're going Providence and Villanova as the winners of those two other games.
Yeah, yeah. I think those are pretty clear. Would be shocked if either of them were really close.
I would have to agree with you. So that means then you have UConn playing against Xavier. Then Seton Hall St. John's is set. Then it would be Creighton against Providence and Marquette against Villanova. So give me your winners for all those matchups.
Yeah, so starting at the top of the bracket with the UConn Xavier game, I've got UConn in that one. Just not gonna fall in that first game to Xavier. You know, they'll they'll have plenty of time off between their last game Saturday and that game on Thursday, but it'll really just be a warm up for them. And so in that St. John Seton Hall game, probably the most intriguing matchup of that whole slate on Thursday. Two bubble teams who are really fighting for their lives. Each win will be a big feather in their cap as the committee chooses their fate on Sunday. I am back in on St. John's. A little bit playing into like they're on their home floor and they're comfortable in the garden, get to sleep in their own beds, everything like that. So give me St. John's over the Pirates. I think Pirates rely a little bit too much on the hero ball a little bit with some of their guards. Not sure if it translates to the Big East tournament. It's a little bit boom or bust. So give me the Johnnies there. And then I'll take Creighton over whoever they end up playing, whether it's Providence or Georgetown. Too many weapons on offense. Think they'll come out hot. And then give me Marquette in a tough one against Villanova. We'll see. I don't expect Tyler Kolek to be back for that one, but still think Marquette has the willpower in the offense to get by in that first round.
Gotcha. Yeah, I like those picks. Like you mentioned, Seton Hall St. John's, that's really the big one for me as well, too. In Joe Lenardi's bracketology release today, Seton Hall was the last 4 bye, St. John's was the last 4 in, and then Villanova, I believe, was first 4 out. So, yeah, those some big games bubble-wise here on Thursday. I'm agreeing with you. I think UConn wins for sure. I have them beating Butler. I'm also going to go with the Johnnies. I mean, they're playing well. They've won 5 straight games, including a win against Creighton, which is a big win for them. Seton Hall actually did win both the matchups they played in the regular season, but I think it's kind of tough to beat a team 3 times. And like you said, at the Garden, playing at home, Rick Pitino's another coach that I trust when it's March. So I'm going to go with St. John's as well. And then I agree. I'm going Creighton and Marquette will meet in the semifinals. Villanova, like I said, they need a win. And like you mentioned, no Kolek. Could be tough, but I don't know. I just haven't loved what I've seen from Villanova this year. I mean, coming in last in the Big Five, I know obviously that was a long time ago, but after that I've just never really been sold on them. So I'm agreeing with you. We're going UConn, St. John's, and then Creighton, Marquette. Who are you liking in those 2 games?
Yeah, so starting off with UConn St. John's would be a very energetic matchup. 2 teams that like to call Madison Square Garden home. But I think UConn at the end of the day will pull away. even if it's close for the first 30 minutes. I think UConn's just a little bit too much for St. John's. So a good game, closer than the experts think, but uh, we'll go UConn to advance to the championship there. And then Marquette Creighton didn't go Marquette's way last time they played each other in Omaha, but they were without Kolek and Osovigodaro. Uh, this tournament, I can't really project Tyler Kolek to be playing just from what I've seen and what I haven't seen really on updates from him. So that being the case, give me the Blue Jays in a close one to go to the finals. So then we'll have the Huskies and the Blue Jays, and in that case, take UConn, just sweeping the floor, going regular season and Big East tournament champions for 2024.
No faith in your Golden Eagles, huh?
Look, I gotta play with the facts. Last time, hey, you know I come on your show. I don't play favorites. Last week I went 3-3 or 3-0. And I had to go against the Tyler Kolek-less Golden Eagles against UConn. So I don't come on here to play games. I'll go play with my head.
There you go. I respect that. Yeah, I mean, you know ball, so I'm gonna be tailing you. I'm thinking the same thing. I'm thinking UConn and Creighton in the final. Honestly, those are two teams I think we could both see in Phoenix here in a couple of weeks. And I know UConn, Dan Hurley had a quote, like, while they won the national title last year, it bugged them that they were not Big East regular season or tournament champions. This year they won the regular season. I think they're going to win the tournament as well. I just think they're the best team in the league. Creighton's not far behind, but I just think UConn is that much better. They're going to want revenge from, that game a couple weeks ago where Creighton beat them when UConn was number one team in the country, and I think they get that. So we're both riding the Huskies.
Yeah, and I don't want us picking mostly chalk for people to think that this is going to be a boring tournament. It's not. It's going to be a lot of grinded out ball games where the last 5 minutes everyone has to tune in because you don't know what you're going to see at the Garden. So, but in the grand scheme of things, there's really three teams that stand out in this league, and we've seen enough ball this year to understand that. So, really looking forward to it.
Yes, sir. It should be a great one. Well, Ian, thank you once again for coming on. This has been great. We'll definitely have to have you back on next week when we have the full field of 68.
Oh man, the bracket special. That's gonna be awesome. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Yes, sir. Alrighty, thank you to Ian once again for coming on. You guys really enjoyed him last week. It was one of our highest viewed videos last week when Ian came on. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it again. Enjoyed our picks. We're both seeing eye to eye. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's a bad thing. We'll have to see. So to wrap up the show, we have 3 more conference title games here on Wednesday. These are the last 3 conference title games until Saturday. Saturday's when there's just about half the bids are going to be locked up, and then there's like 4 title games on Sunday, on Selection Sunday. So the first one at 5 Eastern on ESPN2. The 1 seed in the Southland Conference, the McNeese State, they take on Nichols State, who's the 3 seed. McNeese is 29-3. They're a team I've been high on. They're coached by Will Wade. They're a team that I really think could make some noise in the dance. They also won both these games by 20-plus points. They're led by their guard, Shahada Wells, who's had a really good season for them. So I actually, for some reason, have not been able to find a spread on this game anywhere, but I would take McNeese as a double-digit favorite. So I'm going with McNeese State to clinch their bid to the Big Dance. Like I said, I believe they're around a 12 or 13, and I definitely am going to be picking them to win their first round matchup. Maybe even they're my double-digit seed that I can see making the second weekend. They're 29-3 on the year. Great team. I'm picking them to win, improve to 30-3. Then it's 7 Eastern on CBS Sports Network. Colgate is a 6.5-point favorite against Lehigh. Colgate won both the games between these two teams so far this season, but they were only 3-point games. They were close here. And then the Patriot League also, they're a bit spread out since they play at campus sites. So the last time these teams played was on Sunday. That gives Lehigh extra time to prep. They're under 500 here on the year. They're going on a bit of a run. And like I said, they've played Colgate both times here. Colgate's looking for their 5th straight trip to the NCAA tournament. So, the Raiders know how to win. But I'm going with Lehigh here. Make their first trip back to the NCAA tournament since 2012. when they upset Duke. Tough day, but yeah, led by CJ McCollum back in 2012, upset Duke. I think they get back to the dance. I'm going with the Lehigh. I'm going with the Eagles in this one. And then the final conference title game of the night here. This one too. The semifinals for the Big Sky just ended right before I started recording, so no spread on this either. The 3 seed Montana takes on the 5 seed Montana State. Montana State is looking to make their 3rd straight NCAA tournament appearance with a win. But Montana won both the games so far this season when these two teams have played by 10-plus points. So I think the Grizzlies keep that rolling. They end the Bobcat streak. You know, it's a battle for the state of Montana, rivalry game. Both teams are going to get up to play. But I like the Grizzlies to take this one. The Grizzlies take this one, knock off the Bobcats. So I think McNeese, Lehigh, and Montana are going to be the 3 teams that I think clinch their tickets to the NCAA tournament on Wednesday. And that's going to wrap up today's show. Thank you guys so much for watching, listening. If you enjoyed, make sure to like the video or on Spotify, rate 5 stars. Like I said, we're going to be doing these videos every day this week. Going to have multiple videos next week talking college basketball. Great time of year. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace.